Hey guys, this is Undercover Dudes, and today we're checking out the top 10 new free-to-play Steam games to play in 2021 and 2022. Please note this top 10 doesn't include well-known games like CSGO, Warframe, Valorant, Fortnite, League of Legends, and so on, because more than likely you already know about these games. Now before we start, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you want more top 10 lists on free-to-play games. Only 12% of you guys watching right now are subscribed, so make sure to hit that sub button so you don't miss out. And while you're down there, comment below what top 10 video you want me to make next. Starting us off with Polygon Multiplayer Shooter, a free-to-play, low-poly first-person shooter game that visually looks a lot like our favourite game Krunker, but the gameplay is more hardcore with its huge maps and large-scale fights with up to 32 players. Weapons are customizable to your liking, and there are a lot of weapons to choose from, which is great. Visually, Polygon has a unique and distinctive look that separates itself from the pack, but this also means it's fairly easy to run, with only an i3 processor and the GTX 460 graphics card being required. Lots of positive reviews on Steam, highly underrated game, check it out. I love featuring indie gems, games that nobody really knows about but are super high quality, and Hellevator is exactly one of them, a 2D platformer where the only way to escape is to die. Your goal is to find creative ways to die in order to solve the puzzles and progress through the various levels, and this concept works really well in execution. It's a super easy to understand and fun to play mechanic, and therefore a really fun game. And that's especially so when you get to the more interesting puzzles, because it never gets frustratingly difficult, so you just want to keep playing to the end. Graphically, this game is simple but effective, and when paired up with the great color scheme and fantastic music, Hellevator has the theme down perfectly. Overall, Hellevator is a great indie title and is definitely underrated. Make sure to check it out. Causa Voices of the Dusk is a new and unique turn-based strategy card game with some extremely interesting game mechanics. Now the main one is around sacrificing cards, which raises your cause, but those cards aren't gone, as you can bring them back later in the game in a much more powerful form to achieve some hugely strategic plays. Add in leaders and their powerful abilities, and there is a lot of choice available to the player, especially as you always need to be thinking ahead. A big part of this game is the accessibility. Of course you have multiplayer duels, but there's also an in-depth campaign which is perfect to train in and also perfect for people with not so good internet. Top it off with a ranked mode where you can gain seasonal rewards, and Causa really does have a lot of stuff packed in. The graphics of course are the cherry on top. It has a lovely art but isn't too flashy, and this makes it great for people with bad PCs. I featured quite a few card games on this channel, but this is definitely one of the most unique out there. Check it out if you're a fan of the genre. Super Animal Royale is the next game on this list, a 64-player 2D top-down battle royale shooter where your goal is to take out all the enemies. Now we all know battle royale games by now, and this one is no exception to the rule. Hop in game, pick up powerful weapons, armor and items and try to win, but this time it's in 2D. This means the cute graphics are relatively simple, and so this game is absolutely perfect if you have a low spec PC. But don't look past the actual gameplay though, because Super Animal Royale is a well-polished title. The movement and gunplay is super smooth and reminds me of a really high-quality version of a Flash game. It's got a big map, lots of points of interest, a lot of guns, and there's always the itch to have one more game. Previously, Super Animal Royale was pseudo free to play. You could do solos and you had limited features, but late last year the developers decided to make it fully free to play, and that was such a great move. It opened the game up to everybody and really bolstered the player base, and it's super easy now to hop in game and get a full lobby every single time. Overall, if you're frustrated at Apex Legends or Fortnite or simply can't run those games and you want the Battle Royale experience, make sure to check out Super Animal Royale. Next up is Rogue Company, Hi-Res Studios' hero-driven third-person tactical shooter, and this game has finally hit Steam. The easiest way to describe Rogue Company is that it's CSGO, Rainbow Six Siege, and a third-person shooter all bundled into one, with round-based bomb defusal modes and a large roster of characters being the main calling cards for this game. Gameplay wise, it also borrows the between round shop from Counter-Strike, but here you can also upgrade your weapons, buy equipment, and also buy character perks, meaning there is a lot of variety on how you want your character to function. Each character is unique and features a handful of abilities, which in combination with the great gunplay and movement, and of course all the other characters you're interacting with in the match, it just means that Rogue Company is a ton of fun. It's easy to pick up, has a lot of depth and tons of content, and it kinda reminds me of the classic free-to-play shooter called Dirty Bomb. Now after its first year exclusively on the Epic Games Store, Rogue Company is now finally available on Steam, and frankly it's just a better platform than the Epic Games launcher, so now is just the perfect time to go and check out this game. Next up is Brofall's Ultimate Showdown, which may seem like a free-to-play Fall Guys clone, but this game is actually quite different. Now visually, let's be honest, it looks very much like Fall Guys, with the cutesy, bright and bubbly visuals. Gameplay wise though, it changes things up majorly, as the majority of the game is an extremely fun, but also frustrating death run. 60 players spawn in and 1 player is chosen as the broccoli, and this player can trigger traps across the course. The first X amount of people to finish make it to the next round, of which there are multiple, and each death run course is different. Now the final round though is a free-for-all, where the last one to survive is the victor, and it's really intense. Now like Fall Guys, Brofalls is a straightforward game and it's dumb fun, and hey, it's free to play as well, which is perfect. Now given this game is just as good as Fall Guys, and actually arguably better because there's no annoying team-based modes, trying out Brofalls is just a no-brainer. Eternal Return is a new form of Battle Royale, a character-based top-down game which mixes element of MOBA and Battle Royale titles. You choose your character and control them like any MOBA. You've got abilities, items, etc. But then you have the Battle Royale component where you hop into a detailed map and try to defeat everybody to win. There's also a big emphasis on crafting equipment, progressing your gear, and also fighting monsters to gain XP and level up. Simply, Eternal Return has a lot of content. The amount of characters, abilities, and items is initially overwhelming, like a lot of MOBA games out there. But this means there is so much depth and hours of gameplay available. I think a big part of this game's appeal is that there's the tension of it being a Battle Royale title, but not the fear of being destroyed in one shot like you get in traditional Battle Royales like PUBG and Warzone. It's very much like a MOBA. You get to go and calculate the fire, and you can go and retreat if you want, but you can also go fully all in and try to get the kill. Now Eternal Return is very highly rated on Steam, a lot of people liking it, given its anime art style, fantastic gameplay and tons of content. This is definitely a must check out game if you're a fan of MOBAs or even Battle Royale titles. Goose Duck from first impressions may just look like free-to-play Among Us, but in reality this game really improves on the formula and fixes some of the genre's core issues. Now the concept for this game is simple and quite similar to Among Us. You and your crew on the SS Mother Goose must work together to keep the ship in tip-top shape. However, the ducks on the enemy team are disguised, and their goal is to take apart your squad one by one. So yeah, that's straightforward, it's Among Us, but what does this game do differently? First up, the inbuilt voice chat. There's in-game voice chat for public and private games, and also optional proximity chat for private matches, which you can only get via mods in Among Us, so this is a really big element. Now more significantly, there are 4+ game modes, which is great, but also over 20 sub-roles, so not just imposter and crewmate like in Among Us, there is so many sub-roles, and that just completely changes up the game, and it really makes this one more like Town of Salem and Mafia by bringing in a ton of different goals and strategies. Furthermore, you can play with up to 16 players, which really fleshes out these different roles, and you can also earn cosmetics just from playing the game, which is a really nice touch. So with that said, Goose Duck is free, popular, and has a ton of content, and it goes and improves on the Among Us formula in many different ways. So is there a point to buy an Among Us? Maybe, but this one is free to play, so at least go and give it a chance if you're an Among Us fan. Next up, we have Muck, the adventure survival roguelike game made by Danny, the milk drinking game developer we all know and love. Now Muck, like Minecraft, drops you into a randomly generated map where you need to collect resources, find items, and build a base to survive for as long as possible, which you can do solo or multiplayer with friends. Unlike most games in 2021, Muck isn't concerned with perfection, rather it's all about simple fun. Visually, this game is all over the place and in the best way possible. It's simple but effective graphics which really doesn't take itself too seriously. This means that the focus is on the gameplay, which in essence is straightforward. Build tools and a base, explore the map and survive night after night as the difficulty goes up and up. On top of this, you also have to fight bosses every few nights, and this really changes up the dynamic of the game. Now simply, Muck is fantastic. It's the definition of a great indie game that far exceeds expectations. Now Muck has also received quite a few updates since release, but Danny has said he's now focusing on his new game called Causa. Now that game will be paid, however there is a free demo available if you want to check it out, and it is a really superb game. Our first game in the honorable mention spot is Bless Unleashed, the latest MMORPG to hit the Steam store. Now I've mentioned this game before in the lead up to the Steam release, as it was already released on consoles and it had a great player base, amazing graphics, deep gameplay and tons of customization. However, the launch has been quite a bit shaky because of monetization and pay to win issues, and also forced PvP at level 30, and this overall meant that the reception isn't as positive as people had hoped for. Bless Unleashed is still fun for sure, but because of those issues, this game gets the honorable mention spot. Okay, a quick one, but I have to mention Krunker, which is still my favourite game as of the past few years. Fast-paced combat, lots of classes, heaps of maps and modes, and a bustling community, Krunker continues to grow for a reason. Now a few months into 2021, Krunker hit the Steam store, and it's a great way to go and play the game. So if you want to go and check this game out, please go and use my referral link to go and sign up. It's one of the best ways to support the channel, but if you don't, go and download the game, go and check it out. It's one of my favourite games for a reason. Another honorable mention today is Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, the completely free-to-play first-person shooter battle royale game. It has fun graphics, easy to pick up gameplay, a great comeback mechanic, and a huge amount of weird weapons. It really has everything a comedic FPS game needs, including quite an active player base. The gameplay is super fun and perfect for FPS beginners and veterans, and especially if you have a group of friends. Now Totally Accurate Battlegrounds, it gets the honorable mention spot because I've already mentioned this game before, but otherwise it would definitely be going in the top 10, and that's the same for Krunker and even Bless Unleashed. All of these are really solid games, but I wanted to mention them again even though I've talked about them in other lists. Our final mention today is for World of Tanks. Now I'm pretty sure everybody has heard about this game, but now it's on Steam as of April this year. It's a fun game, bit grindy, but it's on Steam, so yeah, quick mention for that one. Now coming in at the number 1 spot, we have the once dead arena first person shooter called Splitgate, a game that originally came out in 2019. Now the concept is simple. Halo meets Portals in an arena format where you pick up powerful weapons off the ground. The graphics look great, the UI is clean, there's heaps of modes and maps, and overall the game has improved significantly from its 2019 release. Overall, Splitgate is the best new free-to-play game out right now, and for fans of Halo or just FPS games in general, this is a perfect title to check out, and it's well deserving of the number 1 spot.